Yo, what's up, guys? Calster, you got promoted. So how we doing tonight? Gonna talk about boxes. There's been a bit of talk, not necessarily recently, but just in general about like box controller legality over the past year. Like it's really been ramping up because more and more like top players have been willing to speak about it. Can you ban people? No. You just ban people without reason, dude. Not allowed to do that. That's cheating. Can't just ban people without a reason. I give you the power and you're gonna abuse it. That's not okay. Look at this guy. Listen. I can't. I'm sorry, buddy. I don't know what to say. Mike's acting weird. What's weird? What's weird about it? I can't hear myself. What's weird about it? I don't know what to say. Bro, I think you're just trolling. You have to be trolling, Calster. I don't believe you. Dishonest. I can't have that. I just made you a mod. Now look at you. Lying, manipulating. You're like Leffen, a liar and a fraud. Sounds like I'm underwater. Okay, let me see. Maybe I'm not being gaslit. You have to be trolling, Calster. I don't believe you. Dishonest. I can't have that. I just made you a mod. I mean, for me, it sounds a bit better. It does sound like it's peaking. Hold up. Let's turn it down. Here we go. Does this sound better? Like in terms of let me. Alright, Calster, if it sounds normal on your end and you're just hallucinating, that seems like you're not the only one, so sounds good now. Yeah, I unmuted the stream. It sounds fine. This doesn't sound different from how it normally does. Because like it used to actually just be messed up. Like something on my computer, like some setting just messed up my mic. Yeah, we'll get into the meat and potatoes pretty soon. Just gotta get any mic issues out the way. You have to be trolling, Calster. You have to be trolling, Calster. Alright, that sounds fine, Calster. Alright, let's get into the meat and potatoes. Why are we here, boys? What is the issue at hand? Let's transition. Basically, this was a while ago, last year even. This is before Smash World Tour went kaput. This is like a whole month more than that. But this is a while ago, where Leffen said on Ludwig's stream, because it was Ludwig's invitational or whatever, and Leffen went on like a big rant. He talks about how it's not fun to play against stalling, but he specifically mentions like box users, which he's been critical of the box like in the past. Like he just doesn't like the box. Complained about its legality, complained about like the parameters of like what makes a controller legal. He's not a fan, especially since he doesn't like hacks. So that's obviously one thing. It really ramped up because at Summit 12, yeah, Summit 12, it was Leffen versus Swift. Swift is a box player who plays Pikachu, and he was hitting like almost every SDI. Almost every SDI. Dude, like his up air, let me actually pull it up. That's it, because Leffen tried to use up air, it just straight up didn't work. Leffen versus Swift.
And Smashers, we're low-key trash cans sometimes, so we just make it hard. You know,
we do be complaining.
But yeah. But shout outs to everybody who.
I feel a lot of players leave red cups around and picked up after
Facts.
themselves.
Let me mute this. So he gets a grab. So he hits these up airs, right? Up air's a multi-hit move, so it's easier to SDI than just a single hit move. The way Smash DI works in Melee is if the move is a multi-hit, or if it has a lot of hit lag. So like, you know how when you get hit by a move, like the game will freeze for a bit? Moves that have like a lot of that hit lag, or if they're multi-hit moves, those are the easiest to SDI, because you can get more inputs. Like each hit of a multi-hit, you can get like an SDI input, and then like moves with the long hit lag, you can input more SDIs to move move your character. Let me find a clip of him. Just an example. Like, it was happening all throughout the set. This set went to game 5, and Swift was up 2-1 at one point. Like, I was rooting for him so hard, but he couldn't pull it out. I think there's other stuff with Pikachu being able to do like up Bs. This up B, like being able to edge cancel it. There's stuff with his up B, like you can do, I'm pretty sure you can do like some jank stuff with his up B. Pikachu's such a degenerate character. You just throw him off stage and gimp him. Okay, I think he just messed up his up air there, because you see he didn't actually move to the side. Yeah, the controller. Like the box controller. You see he's playing on a box. I just want a clip where he tries to up air Swift, and Swift's able to SDI it. He gets a grab. There's an up air there. Bro, up air! I need an example. I can't just leave you guys hanging. Back airs again. I feel like back air is like optimal in a lot of situations because you can SDI it. Come on! Let me skip ahead. Back airs. Holy moly. Listen, believe me when I say that like every single up air Leffen went for, Swift SDI'd it like 75% of the time. And this is what like sparked like a huge resurgence in the whole box needs to be nerfed. It was just ridiculous. Okay, he hits his up air there. It's an up smash. Overall, the box is superior to a GameCube controller, much like how a hitbox is better than an arcade stick, but people cannot rewire their brains so easily. Yeah, the box is like marginally, not marginally, but like it is better, but that's more so in the point that I'm gonna prove like later on in the stream is that the issues with controllers and that we need to buff GameCube controllers and not nerf the box, and that's how we should solve it. Because the goal should be to modernize the game, not to balance around a controller that barely works. We're... I'm telling you, just trust me when I say... Okay, that's a good game. Trust me when I say that he SDIs like every single up air. Man, shut it, franchise. Listen, Kazu. This is why you don't have mod. Bro, grab him. Stop up-tilting his shield. I need to prove a point. And then you whiff a grab there. This is the king of fighting games. Doesn't even know how to play a box Pikachu. Pax could never. Just grab him. Grab him. Dude, then you miss the up air. Dude, you guys just have to trust me, dude. He SDIs like every single up air. I didn't SDI that one. Just grab him. No, not you, Swift. What he did? Bro. Doesn't SDI that one. It's not even that, it's that, this is Leffen complaining about the box, or like the community complaining about it, because Swift literally made Fox's up air just not work. It was just crazy. Let me go later on in the set. Because it was really egregious by the 8th time it happened in a game. I mean, you kind of just... Hold up. How do you do this? How do you advance frame? Oh, like this. See how he's able to teleport Pikachu? He's able to teleport like after the first hit to then avoid the second hit. That's SDI. And this was happening like over and over again throughout the set because it's easier to smash DI on a box than on a GameCube controller because of travel time. Basically, because the box is digital input, so a digital input is like either like 1 or 0, either the buttons being like these buttons on the controller, these are like digital, so it's either pressed or it's not. But the analog stick, you can pull it to like get different values. Same thing with the triggers, right? You can like light shield, you can hard shield for like varying degrees. So that's the problem with the stick versus a box, which is buttons or like a keyboard. So when you're using the stick, you have to pull it to the side of the controller, and if you're not fast enough, the way the game like reads frames and reads inputs, if you're not fast enough, you can get it where it's reading your input when your stick is only like here. It's not all the way here, like it's halfway almost, which gets you like a lower value on like your SDI. It also affects dashback because that's a 1-frame window. But if you can't move your stick fast enough, then you won't get a dashback. You could just miss. You can just miss it. So that's just one of the issues with the box. Here's a clip of HBox.
Honestly.
Ooh. Turn down music. Turn it off.
I'm like very tempted.
Why is this so quiet?
To like be the honestly. I'm like very tempted to like be the trendsetter for this and like potentially do what I did for Ultimate Coinbox. And it'll probably give me a lot of flack, but like, you don't know how badly I want to. What's funny is you ask Mango, Zane, me, you ask any of the top 6 players, they'd be like, yes, go for it. So tempted.
I was just HBox talking about banning the box. He lost to Hacks. He's like, I'm tempted to ban the box for Coinbox, which is his tournament. Then at Coinbox 68, Hacks ended up winning, which is pretty epic. He beat HBox again at this tournament. So obviously HBox was like, yeah, the box is broken. But that's compounded by second place is Zuppy, who is also a box fox. He's one of the better, probably the best box fox since Hacks isn't ranked because he's still banned from like most majors, which is BS. But yeah, in terms of like ranked box players, I feel like I'm dissing Hacks. Listen, this is what he gets for not watching Star Wars. But yeah, Zuppy is also a box fox. So it was just 2 box foxes or just box players in grand finals. So it was like, it's just the fact that Hacks beat HBox, like HBox loses to a box player is already another thing, and then grand finals is just 2 box players. Then he tweeted this before this, a few minutes. Box fox makes me think of Fallen Wonderworld, which is something I never want to think about. Why is chat like cut off? Chat. There we go. And so basically it just says box needs to be nerfed, but no one wants to talk about it, lol. Correction, people do talk about it, but no action is ever taken on it in rule set, as far as I know. It's been literal years. Alright, first off, you run the tournament, you could just ban it. Don't do that. I don't think you should, but you could just do that. Oh, here's me just saying, what nerfs do you think the box needs? Because that's part of the issue, is that when people say stuff like, oh, we need to ban the box is broken, the box needs to be nerfed or whatever, a lot of people don't understand like how it needs to be nerfed. They just say, oh, it needs to be nerfed. It's too broken, because that's what their favorite player says. And a lot of the top players do think that it should be banned. Like Mango, but Mango's not like intelligent on anything. So that's part of the problem. Because like Mango's like every Melee player's father figure. So they just parrot like what he says. But he doesn't know. He's not knowledgeable when it comes to like controller stuff. And this isn't even like me talking as like I guess a pro box person. Like even Cody has said like, yeah, Mango needs to shut up about like boxes and Z jumping because he has no idea what he's talking about, and it's just ruining the discourse. Yeah, like other people, like none here. Literally any analog to digital bypass should be deemed illegitimate / go play a non-analog game. Once again, talking about the digital inputs on a box that makes like stuff like dashing easier. But we'll go over. Here's an example. So this is an example that you might not know about, but this is the range. This green part is the range for like the coordinates you have to hit to do a up throw or down throw in Melee. So if you're over here like slightly, you get a forward throw. Which this range seems big, but it's actually not that big. Like you'd be surprised how often you accidentally get a forward throw when you try to quickly up throw. But what's interesting is that the area for up tilts and down tilts extends to this purple range. but it doesn't extend for up throw and down throw for some reason. So a mod like 1.03 adds these coordinates that makes it easier to hit up throw and down throw, because it's the same for up tilt and down tilt. But the box doesn't have this issue, because if you press up on the box, you just get this coordinate right here. So you can never mess up an up throw on box, but you can do that on controller, because obviously you have to move your control stick up, and you might fall outside of the range, which is this green thing. So like the example Hacks used is like, if your control stick goes here, then you'll get a forward throw or a back throw, or you won't get your up throw, you'll get a side throw, which happens a lot more often than you'd think. Yeah, that's just an example of how the box has an advantage, because it can always pinpoint this one coordinate. Also, these coordinates here, like just these one little things on the four cardinal directions, those are called 1.0 cardinals, which are also like about 1% better than the coordinate before it. But the problem is, look at how small that is. Like, having to hit that on a controller, you have to like perfectly hit that. It's like 1 pixel you have to hit. But the box can pinpoint that every single time, which gives it like a slight advantage in many different situations, like dash speed, aerial drift, SDI. Like, it's just overall like better. Even if it's marginal, it's still better, and you can get it every single time, because the range is just so small for a GameCube controller. But again, the box can pinpoint it every single time. So that's another way that the box is like superior. Yeah, just the consistency, and also the lack of travel time is another thing, because obviously when you use a controller, you have to move the control stick, whereas the box, it's basically instant because it's a digital input. I mean, it's not quite instant, but it's faster, and yeah, it makes stuff like it's just better on box. Now, how much better it is debatable. Like, you could argue that some of these things are marginal, like 1.0 Cardinal's not like, it's still an advantage, but it's marginal. Like, the difference between this value and this value is like a 1% difference, which still matters, but it's not like some game-changing, game-breaking difference, right? But it's still a difference that exists. And when you combine it with all the other advantages that you get on box, like you can't mess up your up throw or down throws, get better, more consistent SDI, more consistent dashing, like faster dashing as well. There are just several advantages to the box. Now, there are disadvantages. Let me turn my music back on. There are disadvantages, right? So it's not just the box is better at everything, because, like, for example, wave dashing on a box, you can't do perfect wave dashes on box. The angle for the air dodge is purposefully less than that, which if you use like a notched GameCube controller, you can pinpoint it like pretty consistently. Obviously not like 100%. Like, you could argue like on box the consistency is still higher, but it's still a worse wave dash that you can't do that on box. And certain characters are probably worse on box because of that, like Luigi or Ice Climbers, because they can't get those maximum wave dashes, but you can get those on a controller. So yeah, that's the basic gist, is that there are advantages to the box that, when put together, make it a superior controller. There are also things that are worse about it, like the limited angles that you get with like modifiers and stuff. But the basic gist is the box is a better controller than the GameCube controller. So how do we solve that, right? The solution is to buff GameCube controllers. It's not to nerf the box. The box is a properly made controller. It is a modern controller. It's how controllers should be made. It's how a controller should function. right? The GameCube controller, this thing is so riddled with like bugs and issues that it's like, why should we balance around this when it doesn't even work? This controller is over 20 years old. Why are we balancing around this one when we should balance around the one that actually works? You know what I'm saying? That's the issue. And we can buff controllers. Like, Hacks made 1.03, which is his software mod, which is basically, it helps make things more, it creates better parity between the box and GameCube controllers. And yeah, like you see how many times top players can complain about like their GameCube controllers breaking and how that's such a big deal because they have to play on like a different controller, and that's like a massive difference. Like, modded controllers break way more than just a like, this isn't modded, this is vanilla, and this is fine with like mod UCF and 1.03. Like, if you're playing on a Goomwave or a fob, like, those things can break. Those things have like insane maintenance, and it's like, hold on, let me play this video. This is a video I made last year about modded controllers and like the issues. Not only, I didn't really delve into the maintenance of the controllers because that's also another thing. Like, fobs tend to like tend to break, I've heard, and then Goomwaves also have like insane maintenance with like the potentiometers or whatever. Also, Goomwaves are just cheating. Yeah, Goomwaves are just cheating. They literally can like change your inputs and like delete your inputs to like make certain tech easier, which is just not okay. Like, if you want to dash back at a crouch, it can just like it can just change the inputs so that way you get it instead of making it like a bigger win. Basically, it's cheating. Goomwaves are cheating, and people who are smarter than me could explain it better. But yeah, it changes. You can like mess with your inputs to like make certain tech easier. But this is
Alright, so today we're going to be talking about modded controllers. This video will mainly focus on the Goomwave since it's the most popular, yet might have the... So GameCube controllers suck for a number of reasons. Many techniques and mechanics suffer from different issues that really shouldn't exist. For example, in vanilla Melee, in order to do this, you need to move your control stick from here to here in 1/60th of a second, or 1 frame, just to dash back. This is already a small window to execute, but it gets even harder when you take into account the polling drift bug, which can randomly cause your controller to have an extra half frame of latency. This isn't very reasonable considering how simple the mechanic is. Many characters like Marth, Fox, and Falcon utilize their dashback as a defensive tool to evade certain attacks, but without any sort of fix, this technique becomes very difficult to use effectively. And dashback...
Yeah, that's it's a lot easier to dash back on box because, again, it's a digital input. With this, you have to pull it like in either direction, and if you, the way the game reads frames and like inputs, it may read it when it's only halfway like pulled instead of the all the way, which can mess up the doing the technique. Whereas on box, that's not an issue because you just press the button and you get a dash back.
Isn't the only technique that has issues. Shield dropping, SDI, and 1.0 cardinals all suffer from either unnecessarily difficult execution windows or random luck factors. Now, modded controllers such as the Goomwave fix these issues, however not without a decent cost. For example, a regular GameCube controller is very affordable to most smashers, and even the more durable and solid ones you can find for less than $100.
I don't know why I said less than $100. You can get these for cheap. Like, you can get like a good GameCube controller for a very affordable price. Like, look at these prices. Like $12. I'm pretty sure this that one's probably not
smashers, and even the more durable and
yeah, like look at how cheap you can get a controller.
Ones you can find for less than $100. A
Goomwave
motherboard alone costs $150.
just the motherboard, not for the controller, just the motherboard. Like, you have to pay several hundreds of dollars for a controller.
And notches, which allow you to pinpoint certain angles on the rim of your control stick, cost $125, and these can degrade over time. This creates a disparity between controllers that is maintained by a paywall. If you want a properly functioning controller, you have to pay a considerable amount of money. Remember, these aren't bonus features or anything extra. This is just to be able to play the game without experiencing any issues. I should also mention that box controllers feature many of these fixes as well, however these controllers aren't exactly perfect either. The cheapest one you can get, the Frame 1 Lite, is $150. It's also impossible to buy because Greg Turbo spends more time blocking people on Twitter than restocking his products.
Dude, I am a prophet. Alright, hold on. Let me change my camera. I'm just a prophet. I said this before the Frame 1 delays were even a thing. And now look at where we are. Now look at where we are. They've only had one restock since 2020, and those controllers don't even exist. He opened up pre-orders February 19th of last year and has not begun production on them yet. It's been like, what, 540 days at the time of the stream? Holy moly. Dude, I'm a prophet. The fact that this is still applicable today, in fact, it's more applicable today, and I wasn't even talking about, like, the delays or anything. I was just talking about how it's, like, impossible to buy because it's just not available, like, at any point. Because this most recent batch sold out in 2 minutes. So I was like, okay, it sells out in 2 minutes. There's clearly a high demand, but you're not gonna meet that demand. You're not gonna, like, produce enough so that way everybody can get one. Or you're not even gonna produce enough for the 1,000 people that actually ordered in time. Like, the problem's gotten so much worse since this video. It's actually crazy.
Basically, usable controllers are only reserved to the people who have the money to afford them. It essentially turns Melee into a pay-to-win game. If I want to tech chase as effectively as possible, I need the ability to dash out of crouch consistently, but I can only do that with a modded controller. This has matchup defining implications as characters like Sheik or Falcon may struggle to deal with Fox or Falco if they can't tech chase effectively. No matter how you slice it, a regular GameCube controller user will always be at a disadvantage to a Goomwave or Box. So what is the solution?
That's the important thing. Because I feel like people think about controllers, like, from the perspective of, like, oh, the box. But there's also, like, everything else, like the Goomwave, the fob, other modded controller mods you can get. And it's like, that still creates a disparity between people who don't even use mods to begin with. And I don't think you should have to pay money to get a functioning controller. So yeah. That's also another reason why we should buff controllers instead of nerfing boxes. Because, again, even if we remove all the modded controllers, all the boxes, even if it's just vanilla GameCube controllers, that actually doesn't fix the controller parity issue, because there's other issues, like POD, which is, like, how the control stick, like, degrades. Like, a difference in that can make a controller better or worse at certain techniques. There's also snapback, which affects all controllers, like, regardless. Drift, like Joy-Con drift, but you could get that on your control stick. And also stick box rotation. Like, you can open up 2 GameCube controllers, and you could see that the stick box, like the actual box for the control stick, they won't be the same. Like, one might be rotated slightly, one might be rotated a different way, one might actually be, like, square, but there's a difference between, like, each controller, even if it's just pure vanilla. Even if it's just a pure vanilla controller. So even if you remove all the controller mods, all the boxes, the controller sucks on its own. Like, this is not how you should have to play Melee, just on a vanilla controller. You shouldn't have to do that in 2023, when we have access to stuff like UCF 1.03. And the reason 1.03 and also UCF, technically, are better than modding a controller like a Goomwave or Fob is because it's free. It would be free for everybody, like anybody. It it removes the pay to win aspect of having to get a fob or a goon wave, because those things are, again, like several hundreds of dollars. A box isn't cheap either. Frame 1 doesn't exist, but yeah, those are very expensive, whereas like a vanilla GameCube controller is like it's in the double digits in price range. It costs like a controller should, and then if you add 1.03, then you get most of the benefits that you get from a box or like a goon wave or a fob. Like, you get most of them on here. Obviously not everything, like there'd still be a thing with travel time. There's still like travel time is still an issue, but at least that limits the issues, that the disparity between the two controllers. And then we can look at that and say, okay, how big of a deal is travel time? Because I really don't think it's that big of an issue, considering that there are also disadvantages for playing on box. And if we mitigate most of the advantages, that's how I feel like the box is superior, is that even though each individual thing, like 1.0 cardinals, vertical throw, stuff like that, even though individually those things are marginal, when you, in totality, when you bring them all together, that's what makes the box a better controller. So if we just remove all those, then really the only advantage it would have is like travel time, which is the thing everybody complains about the most. But I feel like if we remove the other advantages, it would give us a better perspective of like the controller's strengths and weaknesses. Because obviously travel time is the biggest thing. But then also, as I said before, you can't get perfect wave dashes on a box, which is already a nerf. Like, that's like a huge nerf. Like, people say, oh, the box can do stuff that the GameCube controller can't. Well, the GameCube controller can do stuff that the box can't. So it's like, yeah, is it even? Maybe not, but to act like, I don't know. I feel like if we implement all the changes to 1.03, I feel like it would show that the box is not as broken. It would still be better, but I don't know by how much.
Into this problem. It's 1.03. 1.03 is a software mod that fixes all of the issues that plague controllers in Melee. In simplest terms, it turns everyone's controller into a goon wave for free. Despite being nothing short of revolutionary, the community seems to be very tentative to implement it into the community. Why is that? The community already uses a software mod called Universal Controller Fix, or UCF, which fixes some of the issues, but not all of them. The only fixes included in UCF are dash back, shield drop, and wiggle out of tumble. There are no fixes to 1.0 cardinals, dash out of crouch, vertical throws, or SDI, and it also doesn't come with a Z-jump remapper either. Even with UCF, a modded GameCube controller or box will always be superior to a standard controller. If all of the fixes included with a goon wave are not present in UCF, then it's safe to say that UCF is an incomplete project, as it fails to, well...
This is a thing that I need to say. Like, retroactively, we don't want all the fixes from a goon wave, because some of the things, like as I said before, some of the things the goon wave does is actually just cheating, and we don't want that. So the goon wave should be banned. Like, it's not even just, oh, it's a better controller. Like, a fob is fine. Goon wave is not, just the way it works, and is able to like change your inputs. Like, no, that needs to be banned. So no, we shouldn't just replace goon wave with fob or box. And my point still stands, but no, not a goon wave.
Universally fixed controllers. But with 1.03, we can more adequately level the playing field for everyone. It even has a Doraki wall jump fix. Like, how can you not love this? Also, let's not forget that modded controllers can have issues as well, like the whole Summit 12 debacle last year, where many players were experiencing issues with their goon waves, only to later find out that there were different branches of the code going around, and the lead software developer was completely radio silent on the issue. With a mod like 1.03, we wouldn't have these types of logistical issues. In conclusion, 1.03 takes the controller fixes and modifications that you usually have to pay money for and makes them free for everyone. Yet instead of endorsing it as a game-changing and revolutionary idea, it seems as though, at least at the top level, no one is advocating for its implementation. So I ask, why do we have to gatekeep functioning controllers behind a paywall? Why can't they be accessible to everyone? Why make Melee pay to win?
Bro, this video is so bars, dude. And the thing is, when I drop this, right, you can see the like-dislike ratio. I love this video. I said the controller was pay to win. Right, where is it? people were saying like, oh, calling it pay to win. I think calling the box pay to win is a bit unfair, but since the main purpose, basically people were upset that I was saying calling everything pay to win. Or is it? But yeah, basically I called it pay to win. People didn't. People were like, I wouldn't call it pay to win. Look at what Josh Man says here. Same day as my video. Alright, let me point that out. Same day. And mine has more. Wait. Yeah, mine has more views. Look at this shit.
Positives for it though, Z jump is fucking crazy with mouse click Z. Being able to remap is insane. Should be added to software. It's super bullshit that it's price gated behind hardware, by the way. That needs to be fixed as soon as possible. Everyone should be able to Z jump. You shouldn't have to buy a non-original controller to do it. Easier dash back out of crouches. The easier up tilt's bullshit as well. There's just so much bullshit that we either need to ban or add into the game for everyone. The pay to win way the game is going right now is nonsense.
I was right the whole time. Listen. Next thing you know, Josh Man's gonna make a video called Leffen, a liar and a fraud, and everyone's gonna hate Leffen. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, like, I'm not the only one who thinks this. Like, there are other people who are like, yeah, this is... The way the game's going is pay to win. That you have to get, like, a modded controller just to compete. Because we have all these different variables, like the box, and then you have Goom Waves, and you have fobs, and then you have UCF, and there's just so many variables. It's like, okay, we need to figure out, like, how we need to do this. Because a lot of those solutions are locked behind a paywall, and that just gatekeeps functioning controllers to, like, people who have money. And it's like, sure, maybe a good controller should cost money, except for the fact that we could just do it for free for everyone, like, in a feasible manner. So, yeah. Anyways, this is what IBW said a while back.
I don't want the box banned at all. I think you can't ban it at this point even if you wanted to, but even still, there are people who actually need it, and I don't want them not to be able to play. All I want is to balance it around the controller, which most of us use. We've used for years. It's way more accessible. So let's get this figured out. I understand what Hax is saying. I don't think...
So he basically says, like, that we should balance around the GameCube. First, figure out what we want the GameCube controller to be able to do, what it should be capable of, like, the parameters for that, and then we balance the box around the GameCube controller. But I think that's flawed because, as I said before, the GameCube controller is a broken controller. It is not a good controller. It's over 20 years old. It's just not good for Melee. So we shouldn't be balancing around the controller that everybody uses when we can balance around the one that actually works. Because the box is just a modern controller that was designed for Melee. It actually functions properly in a lot of areas. It's not like the box is... Like, the Goom Wave is cheating, right? Because it can, like, change your inputs or whatever. The box... It's not like the box is doing some, like, ultra macros that can... Yeah, it's not like the box to just do some, like, ultra, like, laser cannon, death beam stuff. Like, it's just that it works. It doesn't suffer from the issues that a GameCube controller does. And that's what makes it superior. So the goal should be to buff GameCube controllers up to the... as close as we can to the box. And that should be the goal, because, again, the box actually works properly. The box is a modern controller that was designed for Melee. So that should be the goal, to modernize the game. Okay, but aren't GameCube controllers more expensive because they need to be resold and buttons replaced, etc.? You need to mod the controller with notches and shoulders anyway to be viable. I mean, you don't have to mod a controller. Like, I don't play on a modded controller. I'm, like, not a bad player. Although I haven't played in months. But yeah, GameCube controller is good, but it has technical imperfections, so it makes sense to soft mod to level out those imperfections. Hardware paywalling instead is just dumb. Exactly. Like, I can agree with his logic of, like, first figure out what to do with controllers and then balance the box around it. But I still think all the fixes from 1.03 should be the parameters for the GameCube controller. I think when we say what do we want the GameCube controller to do, I think it should do what it's capable of in 1.03. I think 1.03 is what we want the GameCube controller to do, and then we balance the box around that. Because again, the goal is to modernize the game. GameCube controllers suck. They're broken. They're not good. Broken in a bad way, not like in an overpowered way, like in a they suck way. They suffer from a multitude of issues. Like as I said before, like the reason you can mess up your up or down throws on controller, but not on box, isn't because the box is able to like delete your inputs like a Goom Wave and like correct them. It's just because when you press up on a box, you get up. When you press up on a controller, you might not get an input within this range. But on 1.03, this is the range that you get. It just makes it easier to do like an up throw. Same thing with 1.0 Cardinals. Like the reason the box just, when you press left, you get a 1.0 Cardinal. It goes to this value right here. But this is super hard to pinpoint on a GameCube controller because it's so tiny. And then you might have a bad stick box, etc. But with 1.03, it turns like, I'm pretty sure it turns all of these coordinates into 1.0 instead of just this one tiny one right here. Or right here, here. So yeah, that's already like those are just small things, but again, it's not like the box is doing some extra thing to like make it better than the controller. It's just that when you press up, you get up and you get 1.0. And I guess travel time is something you can't fix on a controller because of the control stick, but again, I think it's important to first fix everything that we can, and then see if the box is still like broken or better than substantially better. Like we need to first assess how broken, like how much better travel time is on a box than on a controller and how much that matters. Because I feel like the reason the box is better is because it has travel time and it can get 1.0 Cardinals and you can't mess up your throws or whatever, and you get better SDI and you get this and you get that, and it's all the like again the totality of all those small things. Like 1.0 Cardinals isn't some like game breaking thing. It's just like I'm pretty sure 1% better than the value before it. But it's like still that's an advantage, and then combined with all the other advantages, that's what makes it better. And then again, there are things that are worse on a box, like the fact that you can't get perfect wave dashes, the fact that you're more limited in like your recovery angles as like Fox or Falco, or just in general. The fact that you can't light shield, so they had to add buttons so you could light shield. Yeah, there are still things that are worse about a box than worse on box than on GameCube controller, and the GameCube controller can do stuff that you can't do on box. So yeah, where were we? Right, we were here. Alright, Pipsqueak. This take I think is what he says here I think is really bad. And incredibly faulty, and I think if anybody actually agrees with this, like it's actually terrible. Let's just play.
Said, here's the important thing, and something I think is often ignored from every like box player who brings up this argument, is that the situation is very similar to wobbling, and we banned that. We can ban the box if we can ban wobbling. It's a similar minority of players and has a similar consideration where even if boxes aren't dominating the playing field, if people hate playing against it, we can just ban it. We can just straight up ban it. Like there's no reason that that has to be very different than with Ice Climbers, because like effectively we did shadow ban Ice Climbers. It took a while for Slug to come up, but clearly a lot of the player base quit or plays way less now or switch characters. So effectively we shadow banned the character, and the reason we did that was because people fucking hate playing against wobbling. They hate playing against wobbling, and if people hate playing against box, then that's honestly all you really need to argue with. If you want to have the technical arguments, then you should back them up. But if you just want to say, I hate playing against box players, it feels like complete dog shit. Like it feels unfair and like they're not working for their kills. It feels like they're not working for their wins. Then just say that, like straight up. It's the exact same argument as for wobbling, and you could just argue the same thing for boxes. So regardless of what the stats say, it does not have to be dictated by what me and other box players are performing like right now. And even if it was, I'm fairly sure you could just argue that as soon as we do super well, that, you know, it's too late now. Do you really want to ruin?
Basically, he's saying that the situation is similar to wobbling, because wobbling wasn't like oppressive. Like there weren't many like top ices, and it's not like ices were dominating the meta or were like top of the tier list, but we still banned it. And he's saying this is like that, and then goes further to say that all you have to do to like just say, all you have to do is just say, I don't like this thing, like it's frustrating to play against, I don't like it, and that's enough to get it banned, which I think is terrible, because number one, most people are misinformed. They don't even know like what makes the box broken, or like what makes what we need to nerf about the box. Most people don't have like the technical knowledge or smart enough to really know why. So that's already issue number one. Like let me play this clip from Critical.
I don't know if there's budding conversations about.
Oh no. Oh, that's close.
There it is. There it is. It is so insane to see how tan J-Mook is compared to how white Leffen is.
So what's the budding conversation about the box
About
being better?
the legality of the box.
Oh.
Box, notches, just general issues with controllers, inconsistencies, what's fair, what's not.
Where do you land as a top player?
Former top player.
Oh, you retired top player. Yeah, yeah.
Wow, 1 second.
Just slowly resets right there. Some of the best reactions in the
Things
game.
would probably make beer safer for your hands. Bit of stress.
I think the box needs to be nerfed a bit, but I do think it's overall good.
How would you nerf it?
That I'm not nerdy enough to answer. But there's like a couple things that it can.
I think the box should be nerfed a bit. What should they nerf about it? I don't know. I'm not nerdy enough to speak on that. It's like, what? That's the problem. That's the problem. Like, people don't know. It feels like blind rage when people talk about the box. Like, obviously, this isn't like rage or anything. This isn't like we need to ban the box. But I feel like people who want the box banned or think that it should be like not banned but nerfed, or like people are anti-box, I guess you could say. I don't think they know why they don't like it. I think they just heard like a top player say, yeah, this is broken, like this is BS. Like they heard Leffen, they heard HBox, or they heard Mango, and or Fiction, or Blur, or none, and they're like, yeah, this is bad. Oh, how should we nerf it? I don't know. Let him continue.
Can do that are just generally like very difficult to do on controller.
I read a little bit of the discourse about box in Ultimate. That is the big thing.
He talks about box and Ultimate, but like I can explain like what makes a box better, like the stuff with SDI, consistency with the inputs, travel time, socked, which is like how the controller reads like opposite cardinals. Like there are things that need to be limited on a box, but I feel like most people don't. And I'm pro box, and I could probably make better anti-box arguments. Yeah, with travel time, like how do you limit travel time? Other than giving the controller like a control stick, which makes it less ergonomic. Yeah. Anyways, that was point number one, is that most people are misinformed, and a lot of it's blind rage. So all you really need to ban it would just be blind rage. Just like, I don't like it. Okay, why? I don't know, but ban it. Okay. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, just because you don't like something doesn't make that a good enough reason. Like, that's not a good reason to ban it. Personally, me, I hate getting chain grabbed by Marth, especially on FD. That should not be banned. Like, just because I don't like it, like, you can not like anything. You could think anything is, like, terrible and killing the game. That doesn't mean you ban it. Like, with Leffen saying that Puff should be banned. They're like, should we ban Puff? Is Puff broken? I don't know, Puff might be the best character in the game. That's not a reason to ban just because you don't like it. There has to be like a tangible like, he brings up wobbling, and part of the reasoning, right, is that people don't like it. Right? That was part of the reason. But the main reason is that it was considered degenerate and like void of the skills that were deemed necessary to succeed at the game. Because it allowed you to just straight up bypass the punish game by just grabbing your opponent, and then you just get a free infinite to just zero to death them. Off of a grab, anywhere on the stage at any percent, you could just end their stock with a grab. And that's considered degenerate because it's like, normally you have to master like punish game, like edge guarding, that kind of stuff. But you don't have to do that. You just need to get a grab with wobbling. So that's one of the reasons why they banned it, because there was like a clear-cut reason to ban something like this, because it's degenerate, at least. Now there's also, you know, people didn't like it, and that was part of the reason. But at the same time, it's like, there was also, like, you know, stage positioning, DI, and also like other defensive mechanics like DI, SDI, slide offs, the ledge, that kind of stuff, that you just don't get access to those when you're getting wobbled. So that's at least a better reason than I don't like it, is that it's degenerate and there's actually like a tangible things to talk about. On the contrary, I don't think the box is that much broke. The box isn't degenerate, first of all. Like, it's not void of the skills needed, it's just a controller. And I don't think the advantages of a box are anywhere near as oppressive as wobbling was, which wobbling wasn't even that oppressive in terms of like its viability in the meta. But even so, like, one is an infinite that you start off grab and you can do at any percent anywhere on the stage and it just kills the opponent. Whereas a box just has a bunch of mini advantages over the controller, but it's a bunch of them that when combined make the controller overall better, even though there are still negatives to the controller. Like, wobbling doesn't have negatives, other than, like, you need Nana there. Like, it has restrictions, but there are no, like, negatives. Whereas the box has negatives. Like, if you play on box, you straight up cannot hit perfect wave dashes. You can't hit certain coordinates that you can hit on a GameCube controller. Like, there are banned coordinates on a box that you can't hit. Some techniques you could argue are harder on box than they are on controller. Like, personally for me, I think jump JC grabbing on box is harder because it's not like in ergonomic motion, in my opinion. So what is it? Z is what's the layout? I think it's from right to left. I think it's B jump Z up, right? And on the top is R jump and then the light shield buttons, right? So, like, having to JC grab, you have to go from middle finger to ring finger, which just doesn't feel right. It just doesn't feel good. It's harder for me, at least. Oh yeah, that's also an issue, is people reprogramming their boxes with like different code. And that is also an issue. But that's honestly the biggest issue. Then, like, stock boxes in frame 1s are like not that, well, frame 1 doesn't exist, but like the stock code is not that, it's not that bad. The problem is like that you can get like other codes flashed on it, and that's the problem. Like, you could just run like a cheating code and you wouldn't know. And also, apparently there was a bug with either the box or the frame 1 where if you swapped, you could like swap the buttons and it would give you perfect wave dashes on a box. Yeah, same with the Goon Wave, but like Goon Waves are already cheating. Like Goon Waves are objectively worse than a box. There are other box style. The frame one is identical to the box. It's the exact same controller. Smashbox is a bit different, but I'm pretty sure that one's like objectively more broken because I don't think there are any like restrictions or nerfs. Also, the box has there are 2 nerfs on the box that are not on a frame one. There's like an SDI lockout on the box, and also I think with like doing a pivot tilts, there's like a travel time. There are like 2 travel time not lockouts that are on box that are not on the frame one. So in order of brokenness, it's the box is the most fair. The frame one is slightly more broken, and then the Smashbox is just like anything goes to the controller. So yeah. What's the thing with fobs? I heard they just break a lot. Like objectively, they're probably the best modded controller, but it's like they're kind of cringe because you could just. They're also expensive as hell. So it's like there's no point to a fob existing if we just use 1.03. In my opinion. Because it's like then the fob would be like marginally better and it wouldn't be worth the price in my opinion. He just angles based on the matchup. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, basically the point was that you can't just ban something because you don't like it, and we didn't just ban wobbling because people didn't like it. There was, again, the character was considered like degenerate with wobbling. Fob still, yeah, there's still advantages. Even if we implement 1.03, there's still not going to be like true parity between GameCube controllers, let alone the box. Because like you can get like a snapback capacitor on your controller. You could still get notches. You could still get stuff that gives you a superior controller. But at the very least, you'd have like the bare minimum requirements for a functioning controller. Let me put on my music again. At least you'd have the bare minimum with 1.03. It's like you could still get like something that fixes snapback, something that fixes. You could get notches. You could get tactile Z. That's like a mouse clicker. You could get Z jump. You could get bald buttons. Get your triggers removed out of your controller. So there's still going to be like upgrades you can make, but at the very least, it would be you would have a functioning controller just off rip instead of having to deal with UCF, which is incomplete. And also, people say like, okay, mods and like Nintendo doesn't like mods. We run mods at Nintendo licensed events. Like Nintendo licensed ones run mods. Like Genesis runs Frozen Stadium. Not even stealth mods. Like Frozen Stadium is not a stealth mod, but we run it at Genesis. We didn't run it at SmashCon this weekend. I guess today. But yeah, Genesis ran Frozen Stadium while they were licensed, which is like incredibly not good. Dude, they gave BTS an award at SmashCon. So now I'm gonna have to make a video about BTS. Like, I was lazy. I was like, I don't want to do a BTS video. Like, I've already done Smash World Tour. They're getting rewarded for, like, defaming Panda and collapsing on themselves. Like, Dr. Allen literally went to BTS and was like, look, your business is failing, but we can save you. We can save you. And they said no. And then, now Panda's gone. So it's like, you get an award for that? Can't wait for Thunder Gaming to get an award. Dr. Allen was straight up the protagonist. He was literally the good guy. Like, was he perfect? No. Did he have issues? Yes. Maybe. I'm even go as far as to say if Alan wasn't the CEO and there was somebody else leading the project, it might have gone better. In fact, it probably would have been better. We probably wouldn't be in this mess with like TOs and stuff feeling threatened. But out of all three parties, between like Gimmer and Apostle, BTS, and Alan is the best of those three. Alan had the community's best interest in mind. BGBC just wanted the crab mentality because they couldn't run their circuit. They were like, let's ruin pandas. And then BTS was like, yeah, we agree with you. What's even crazy? Oh yeah, I didn't show you guys this. Let me find this clip real quick. Let me show you guys this clip. I know we're veering off topic, but not sure if I showed you guys this, but
I want to tell this.
So basically what they were saying, like during the whole like Smash World Tour Panda debacle, is that like Panda wasn't trying to work with the rest of the community, that they were only looking for that they were selfish, they were greedy capitalists or whatever. So this was a story that E told on his podcast, and like immediately when he mentioned it, Coney just corroborated like, oh yeah, this happened. So I'm very curious as to what Gimmer has to say about this, but just listen.
The story. So this was like before the pandemic, and Smash Ultimate was kind of like at its height, and there was this plan from VG Bootcamp to get me, Coney, and TK on the same team. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember this? And
I forgot.
The thing that was so wrong with this plan was like, we liked going to Xanadu, but at that point we hadn't committed to going every single week anymore. We all had other things going on. And since they moved, it was a little bit more of a hike for some of us. But their plan was like, okay, here's what we're going to do. We need you guys to show up every single week, okay, for Melee and Ultimate, okay, and commentate all of the top 8s. And I was like, okay, what's your offer? And I'm just going to say this now because who cares at this point. Their offer was not the greatest thing. And then on top of that, they were like, oh, by the way, you can't work for the competition, so no summits. I was like, huh.
Can't work for the competition, so no summits. He basically wanted to buy the three best commentators in Smash for pennies to an exclusive deal with them to commentate their local. And they couldn't work for the competition. Now, granted, as he said, like this was near the beginning of Ultimate, which is like 2019, like end of 2018, 2019. What happened in 2019 with broadcasting? Before 2019, there was really only one broadcaster, and that was VGBC. In 2019, BTS ran circles around VGBC in terms of broadcasting. Every tournament was streamed by BTS, basically, besides, like, the VGBC ones. But BTS got the rights to stream everything. Like, everything, dude. So basically, I don't know how that would work with like these when he says like no competition, but at the very least, like he said, like no summit. Like that's a big deal, especially if all of these tournaments are being broadcasted by Summit, and you can't work for them. Like that's you're just hoarding the commentators for yourself to an exclusive deal. And there's nothing wrong with like signing exclusive deals or whatever, or like offering them, right? But when we're gonna crucify Alan for like trying to buy events to be on his circuit, or like trying to make his circuit exclusive, even though he didn't actually do that, and that was actually Nintendo just being dumb and not Alan's fault. Like you're not better. You're not better at all if you're trying to sign them to like an exclusive deal, while trying to be like, come on guys, we gotta work together. We're all in this together, guys, but we will steal the commentators for ourselves, so Summit can't get them. But we're all in this together, guys. Gotta work together. Alan, stop. Stop. When someone else gets ahead, oh, we gotta work together. VGBC will do. If VGBC was in Alan's place, they would do everything he did and more. They would do everything they can to get a monopoly on the Smash community, which is why they're the only broadcasting company left in Smash. BTS collapsed. They're the only, VGBC's the only ones left. Like, there's no way you're the biggest victim from that situation, yet you're the only one that remains. There's just no way. That's impossible. Yeah, they would do everything in their power to create like a monopoly for the Smash community. They definitely felt pissed off that in 2019 BTS bought all the broadcasting rights to all the events that they previously wanted to stream. Why is this a BT? No, we're veering off topic. We talked about box legality, but now we veered off topic. But yeah, 'cause I was talking about how at SmashCon, they gave BTS an award, which I don't think they deserve. But yeah, VGBC, if they had the chance, they would definitely have a monopoly over the community. Or they would at least want their share of the pie. So when their circuit got shut down, they're like, screw Panda. They can't run their circuit because we can't run ours. And it's this crab mentality. They act like children. Like, Gimmer's not a good... He's not a... whatchamacallit? He's not a good figure in this community. Like, has he done some good things? Sure. He's not a good dude. Like, he's done more damage to the community than, like, everyone else combined. It's actually insane. There was also another clip. Let me pull it up. Of, Sylvanas. On this same podcast as well.
Since you brought that up, I feel like y'all should not have got rid of Panda.
Preach. I'm
gonna say this. This is hindsight analysis because I got tricked as well. I was like, Panda niggas gotta go. That nigga's Aaron Yeager. I was, bro. But in hindsight, this motherfucker was the protagonist. Like, I love
that nigga was Reiner, bro.
Yes, like I love Gimmer, and I don't know if that was the right thing to do what he did, and I feel like Summit, I'm kind of mad at them niggas because they made a big fucking deal about everything that was happening. Oh, what? How do you make a big deal about what Panda was trying to do? And then you just shut down? And nobody's talked about that. How does that make any sense? Y'all literally just self-destructed. Y'all literally self-destructed. Like, dead ass. Y'all said, we're going down. We got to take him with us. And, okay.
Oh, my God.
Literally just right. This is literally just facts. It's literally just facts. Dr. Owen needs to see. Here's the problem with that. It's not like anything they said was necessarily like false, like provably like statements of fact that are false. The problem is that they lied by omission. Like, they framed it in a way that made like Alan the villain, while omitting stuff like health and safety and the fact that BTS was going to go under. Like, BTS, their business model is trash. Their whole business model is garbage. That's why they fell apart. It's like their entire business model is like selling merch for like Summit votes or whatever, like their whole voting system. And it's like, dude, just get a license. You can get money that way. Get sponsorships that way. That's like way more efficient. Like, they literally use like the Summit voting system to just siphon money out of the community. And then like redistribute the wealth to the top players. They've actually done more damage to this community than people realize. But it's like, oh, they ran Summit, and that was really good of them, and they helped me eat when I couldn't eat. That's like an actual quote from IBDW that he had to like sub-goal food, which is actually really sad. And it's even worse because like now he doesn't have a sponsor, and he's in like a tight spot. But it's like, yeah, has BTS done good things for the community? Sure. Has Gimmer done good things for the community? Sure. Have they also done some really, really bad things as well? Yes. I think that, like, again, I don't think Dr. Allen was perfect either. But he was more perfect than Gimmer or BTS. I mean, at the same time, like, it's hard to argue as to why he doesn't deserve a sponsor. He's arguably, like, a top 3 player in the world. He was sponsored before, but then Smashers canceled his org, and then he went to CLG, and then they fell apart. Like, he does deserve a sponsor. Like, he's one of the more qualified people for a sponsor, but he's just not getting it. But he is considering, like, quitting Smash. It would be unfortunate. It's like, I think it would be cool if he could just, like, be able to make Smash his job. Because he is good enough to, like, be a top player. Like, be a top 2, top 3 player in the world. And it's also sad because, like, he's a victim of the Panda stuff as well. Yeah, we're off topic. What are we talking about? Box controllers. Are they better than GameCube controllers? Yeah. Does that mean we need to ban them or nerf them? No. We need to buff GameCube controllers and balance around the controller that actually works. Not the one everyone uses, not the one that we've been using forever, not the way that the game was intended to be played, because the game was rushed. It's a broken game with bugs. That's what makes it good and special, but that's also what makes it bad in many cases. So there's no reason we should be bouncing around the GameCube controller when that controller doesn't even function. Alright, let me... So yeah, I'm gonna be making a BTS video coming soon. Also got some other Smash content planned, so that'll be good. You say that BTS enacted communism within the community? I think that... I don't know, it's more capitalism. It's like they're taking the money from the poor and then giving it to the rich. And then they also had like a monopoly on broadcasting, which was completely illegal because they don't own the rights to the IP. But that's like bad because grassroots. But then if you restream their stream, that's illegal because you need a license, which apparently costs like $1,000 to $2,000 to get a license to restream a BTS stream, which a BTS stream doesn't even have, again, doesn't have the rights to profit off of Nintendo's IP with like the Papa John sponsor or like any of their sponsors. Because that's the thing with like broadcasting, right? It's like Nintendo doesn't have an issue with you running a tournament. They don't have an issue with you like streaming Smash or anything. They have an issue with like the mass commercialized nature that is Smash esports, where some of these events like Genesis are making several hundreds of thousands of dollars off of an IP that they don't own. Well, technically Genesis is licensed, so they can do that, which is why they're able to do that. But when you have these companies like VGBC, Beyond the Summit, who are trying to get these sponsorships and they're not licensed, it's like, bro, you can't just make mass amounts of money off of our IP for Nintendo's IP. Because if you're allowed to do that, if the company VGBC is allowed to do that, if the company BTS is allowed to do that, then what's stopping the company Sony from doing that? What's stopping Microsoft from doing that? What's stopping Capcom from doing that? Like, part of like owning an IP and like having the rights to it is protecting those rights and like making sure that like, yeah, you're not profiting off of it when you don't have the rights. It's like Dr. Allen literally warned Ken, like, yeah, Nintendo doesn't like the way you're doing broadcasting rights. And they were like, oh my god, Allen's threatening us. They blamed Allen for Nintendo's decisions and opinions. They blamed, like, it's like, what? They straight up said, like, Allen was threatening us because he told us that Nintendo didn't like how BTS was doing broadcasting. And it's like, yeah, you're making how much money off of their IP? Like, getting sponsors when you don't own the rights to it? Like, yeah, they're gonna be upset when you're doing, like, mass commercial activity. But then if I wanted to restream a BTS stream, that's illegal. I need a license for that. Bro, I'm so happy they're gone. Ding dong, the witch is dead. I don't feel happy that everybody there lost their jobs, no. I'm happy that they're not like an influence in the community anymore. Because they actually had the potential to damage the community irreparably. Like both Ken and Alan were like, yeah, their actions would jeopardize broadcasting in the community. But it's somehow not BTS. Ken basically said it's somehow not BTS's fault for doing this stuff. It's Alan's fault for like warning them. Like Alan literally warned them. He literally saw the future. That like, hey, Nintendo doesn't want you doing this. Hey, your business model sucks. Join us. We will protect you. We will save you. And they said, no, you're threatening us. And now they're gone. Oh my god. Why does it say I have 15 channel members? I don't have 15 channel members. I only have 10. Well, here's the thing. You can run an event without a license. You can run a Smash tournament without a license. You can't run a commercial Smash event, like getting massive sponsors without a license. There are still unlicensed tournaments that run every year. There are also a bunch of licensed ones, and those ones make more money. It's not just that they're running events, it's that they're like buying and selling the rights to broadcast the tournaments when they don't own the IP. That's the issue. It's like their whole business model is flawed because they don't own the rights to the game that they're streaming. But they'll try to like buy and sell those rights as if it's theirs. And then if you try to restream their streams, you're the one that gets in trouble. That's like, oh my god, you need a license. And licenses for restreaming their stuff are expensive. Like I asked someone, they were like, yeah, it's like $1,000 to $2,000. It's like, what? Just so I could restream Summit, I could watch Summit on stream. I have to pay how much money to do that? Like you're literally what makes it okay for you to force people to get a license to rebroadcast, but you don't need a license to broadcast Smash commercially? That just doesn't make sense. Your thoughts on Ludwig's events? I mean, he can throw events. It's cool. I don't like that he bans hacks. That's BS. Hacks isn't banned from New York City. What's up, Campbell? Yeah, Ludwig doesn't let hacks compete. This is stupid. Yeah, but even Ludwig has said, like, he struggles to get... Not that he struggles, but a lot of brands don't want to work with him because they don't... Because they know he doesn't have a license or approval. And a lot of the times he says, like, he loses money on events, but he doesn't care because he's a millionaire. And he's just doing it for fun and passion. And he only hosts, like, an event, like, once or twice a year. And then also other events. But those ones probably get bigger sponsors because not Nintendo. Like his chess boxing or whatever. Tech gonna sneak into Ludwig's tournament with a license, with a sign saying buy a license, dumbass. That would be funny. Buy a license, dumbass. Yeah, I'm gonna be making a video on Summit, because I think the fact that they got an award for, like, shutting down, like, people still don't get it, so I have to brainwash the masses, to get people to realize, like, yeah, this isn't, it's not good what they did. And I got some more Smash content. Yeah, it's probably because of Leffen. Yeah, I got more Smash plenty of Smash content coming out. Plenty of it. Like, I have so many ideas, so many amazing ideas for videos. I might chop this up into stream highlights, I might not. Now I'm gonna make probably another video, like a short video, Smash related, and then I might drop the BTS one, and then I'll have my next case, like, big case video. BTS video is not gonna be like that long. It's probably gonna be like 15-20 minutes. It's gonna be like the Nairo video. It's not gonna be like a big research, like, thing. It's just because I already have all the information, a lot from the Smash World Tour stuff. Fun fact: when talking about the Hans Niemann lawsuit, Ludwig did not mention that he was personal friends with Magnus. I don't know how much that would impact it, because I don't think his coverage of, like, the Neiman stuff was that bad. Because my stance on Neiman is, like, okay, he cheated when he was, like, a kid, and then he stopped when he got caught. It's like, okay. Like, he was, like, 16, 17 when he was cheating, when he last cheated. And when he started cheating, it was, like, when he was 16, 17. And then he got caught, he got punished, he apologized, and then he stopped. It's like, what else do you want? That's the problem. And then there are, like, videos that use, like, fake math to, like, prove he's cheated since then. And it's like, it's all flawed. They're like, oh, he played 100% accurate in this game. No, he didn't. Or, like, not accurate, but, like 100% engine moves. But, like, some of the moves that he played were considered, like, inaccuracies or mistakes in those 100% engine move games. There's no way an engine would recommend those moves. And, like, some of the games that were considered, the numbers, like, fluctuate. So one of the games that was considered 100% engine was no longer 100%, like, at another time. And what I didn't like the most about that situation is, like, Hikaru's coverage, because he was like, he was like watching these videos like, oh, does this prove that he cheated? Does this prove that Hans Niemann cheated? Oh, this could prove it. But he won't, like, present anything on the other side, or, like, present when the information is debunked, or the fact that, like, a lot of those videos that he reacted to, like, there was an official report from chess.com that said, like, yeah, these videos, like, they're trash info. Like, they do not meet our standard for, like, proof. So it's like, why even... Why not? And he did so much. He did so much like insinuating that Hans cheated like after, because obviously he confirmed cheated like when he was like 16, 17, like online. That's the thing. He cheated in online chess when he was a kid. Okay. Like he had a tab open, like another tab open with an engine or whatever. When he was a kid, and then he gets caught. He confesses, admits to it, apologizes, and then he did better. He is what people think Leffen is. Like, he is the reformed villain. Because ever since that moment, when he got caught, he was, what, 17 years old, he got caught cheating, he apologized, and since then, there's statistical data by like the authority of chess cheating saying that he did not cheat since that point. And also, how do you cheat over the board? Like, obviously you can do it. Like, it's not like impossible. Like, there are methods, but what method did... If Hans cheated over the board, what method did he employ? That's something nobody wanted to like answer. I know the anal bead theory was like a thing. But like even then, nobody came close to like showing a method by which he cheated. They just said, oh, well, he played like... First of all, that game like against Magnus that like sparked this whole thing. Magnus just played trash. He just played bad, and Hans took advantage, and that's why he won. That's why he won. Because he played bad. He's like, dude, he didn't fear me. He was so like not nervous in like tense positions. He was just like so... It's like, dude, you played bad. There was like a line in Neiman's lawsuit before it got thrown out. That was like, unable to cope with defeat, Magnus snapped. It was like an actual line in the lawsuit. Okay, now we went from controllers to BTS to Hans Neiman. How did we do this? How did we go from BTS to Hans Neiman? It's like, oh, Ludwig, and then being friends with Mac, I guess. But yeah, I wanted to make a video on the chess cheating thing because I wanted to like, yeah, the lawsuit got dismissed. I think it was without prejudice, so he could refile like in the future. Which, yeah, he can refile it in the future. But it did get dismissed. But yeah, it's already hard enough to prove defamation, and then it's even harder because like you have to prove like, I don't know what the word is, like probable cause or like minimal contact with like if you're suing in Missouri because it was St. Louis like Singfield Cup, like you had to prove that like the defendant was like in... There's like some legal nuance that like would allow like the company like chess.com or like Hikaru to like not get sued because it wouldn't be relevant. I forget what the term is, but yeah, it's already hard enough to prove defamation, and then you also have to prove like other stuff. Yeah, I don't like how that was like handled by like all parties involved. You'll see what the next case is. It's gonna be late again, because I have to do more research. This is what sucks about these videos. It's like it takes way more time, because you have to like research and vet information and talk to people. And then like something new pops up that you have to address or figure out or learn about. And then like some questions that you previously like couldn't get answers to, then like answers arise, or like an opportunity to get answers arises, so you have to like talk about that. Yeah, expect just Smash stuff in the foreseeable future. I want to make some like non-Smash stuff, but you guys are here for Smash, so I'm gonna give you guys the Smash. Where I tweeted, like, at the beginning of the summer, like, I'm gonna flip Smash on its head. And now I have to wait even longer. Yeah, I got some videos coming up. To get back on track, OEMs are super inconsistent, so what do you think of a new standardized GameCube controller that doesn't break all the time? That would be good if it existed and it was affordable. But unfortunately, that's obviously a problem. Like, it's not, I don't know how feasible it is. Because we had, like, the Panda controller, but that never happened. 1.03 is just the best option we have right now. Yeah, you have to prove all of that, and then you also, in this case, you also have to prove, I think it's called, like, minimal what is it called? Yeah, it's minimum contacts is a term used in the United States law of civil procedure to determine when it is appropriate for a court in one state to assert personal jurisdiction. Basically, if you're gonna file a lawsuit in Missouri, you have to give reason as to why the Missouri court should hear the case. Because if the defendant's like never been to Missouri, or like none of the alleged infractions or like complaints you have, if those never didn't take place in Missouri, then why should a Missouri court hear it, is basically the logic. Which I guess is how Hikaru and chess.com were able to get out of it. Or I'm just assuming, I haven't seen why. There's also like something with like commerce. Like if you have a product and someone uses your product in a state, then there might be reason, like minimum contact. So like chess.com is like a website or an app or a service that someone might use in a state. But basically, yeah, it's incredibly hard to prove defamation, and then on top of that, you have to have minimum contact. So it's not really surprising that this got thrown out. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. That's why, like, I think Hikaru was able to, Hikaru and chess.com were able to get out of the suit. And then, I'm not sure with Magnus, but it's like, Hikaru had, like, no minimum contact with Missouri, which is the state that the suit was filed in. So it's like, they wouldn't hear the case. Which I think sucks, because I think Hikaru is probably the biggest villain in that whole thing, and how he pushed like a lot of the anti-Hans videos, like the one that was like the most damning piece of evidence that would convict Hans, and it's like, you're using this video is literally fake math. It's literally fake math, and it's been debunked with like the chess engines. But Hikaru's not going to show like the other side, like, hey, this is a piece of evidence that may prove Hans guilty. Oh, but it's been debunked? No, we won't mention that. We won't mention that. We won't make a video where I react to someone debunking it. And it sucks because, like, Hikaru is one of the biggest figures online for chess. So he has a lot of influence and a lot of pull. So if you're not going to show the other side, or like how Hans could possibly be innocent, I don't know, it's just... Like, his logic was basically because it's innocent until proven guilty, he's only gonna look for evidence that could, like, I guess convict is the word, or, like, incriminate. I think it's dumb to do that, but then not also show that the evidence you're pushing was debunked. I think if you're gonna push something that's, like, damaging like that, you also have to, when that evidence is in question, you should also show the other side. Like, I could understand being like, hey, I want to look for, like, how he could have done it, and just, if you can't prove that, then he must be innocent. Like, I could kind of see that, but at the very least, you know, show when the stuff you've pushed is false. Yeah, that's basically it for tonight. Probably gonna end the stream. It was a good stream. Talked about boxes. Talked a bit about BTS. We talked about chess. Solid stream. Talked about multiple topics. Yeah. I might leave the VOD up a little bit. Just to get some more views, but yeah, I'm probably gonna end stream here. Yeah. I'll see you guys